In the bigger thing that's been going on right now, especially I live in Atlanta, so the biggest thing going on right now is this Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, Ashley Merchant, Donald Trump, Michael Roman, this whole thing that's going on right now in Fulton County, in the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Man, listen, this year just started, right? Ashley Merchant filed this motion to disqualify Nathan Wade as a special prosecutor and Fani Willis for conflict of interest. She filed it on January 8th. So they are kicking off 2024, a presidential election year, very, very, very hot and heavy, right? You got presidents being indicted. You got misappropriation of funds alleged. You got relationships, affairs, people cheating on wives. You got all type of stuff going on. And this is just the beginning of the year. So just imagine how much crazier things are going to get as this trial progresses, as this case progresses, as more information comes out. So the reason I'm bringing this up, because I talked about it last week when they wrapped up the argument for the disqualification hearing. What ended up happening is the Senate, the Georgia State Senate, they have a committee, what is it called? Let me see. The Committee of Investigations. They subpoenaed Ashley Merchant. They said, you need to bring your here and come explain everything that's going on. Explain it to us. And I guess this committee is put in place because, all right, so if there's some wild information going on with people that are in government, we want to know about it because we might want to open up an investigation on it. So that's what they did. They brought in Ashley Merchant so that she could testify. It's not like she was in trouble or anything, but they were pretty much brought her in so that they can question her, ask her everything they wanted to ask her, get her to turn over some documents to them, and they would go through them and start their investigation and see if, what needs to happen. Essentially, what the chairperson was saying is that they want to see if, any wrongdoing is actually going on, crimes, I guess, by these people in power, or they want to see if they need to probably tighten up the statutes or rewrite some statutes to cover things that might not be covered currently, right? Things that might not be covered currently that are making it so that this case is very fishy. Because maybe it's not something, maybe they haven't done anything against the law, but they're doing things that seem wrong, morally, ethically, whatever the case is. So, this committee, supposedly that's what their job is. So we're going to investigate, find out, and if anything is out of place, we might make some changes to some rules, or we might, So they get her in there, and they pretty much they're immortalizing Ashley Merchant as now the authority on what is proper for in special prosecution situations, or what is proper in terms of district attorney relationships, or what is proper in terms of how much, what's the standard on gift giving and all this stuff. They're pretty much making her the authority on it because they're asking her about it. They're not going to their rules and their guidelines and policies and laws and statutes and saying, what's the rule on this? They're going to her and asking her, explain this to us. Tell us how this is wrong. Tell us how this is a conflict of interest. Tell us what they were doing, how much money was moving around, where they went. Oh, they went to Ashley Merchant and had her come talk about it, which makes it even crazier what I said about the sexism thing in last week's closing argument for the disqualification hearing. That lady is not sick. She's of sound mind. Somebody just made the call to say she shouldn't close out her own argument. The Senate committee, they saw what I saw. That's the lady that we need to be talking to. That's the lady that has all the information. That's the lady that cracked this whole thing off. And she's the one that got all the information from the inside. Okay, so we don't want to talk to anybody else but her. They didn't call a single other lawyer up there, just her, not even her husband. And her husband was with her and he was involved in the hearing. They called her only. So they saw the same thing I saw. So they get her in there, they ask her all these questions, and there was a lot of questions. Let me see if I have. Let's see what we have here, man. It is not looking good. I'm not gonna lie to you. Before I was saying that Fani Willis will be fine because this disqualification thing will more so, it'll impact Nathan Wade more than it will impact Fani. That's what I was saying before. It'll impact Nathan Wade more than it will impact Fani Willis, because Being disqualified for Fani Willis just means, okay, cool, I'll just go back and handle all my other cases in my office. I just won't be able to prosecute Donald Trump in the Fulton County District Attorney office. That would have been the extent for her. But for Nathan Wade, as a person who's lying in his divorce proceedings, as a person who's lying in this proceeding, as a person who's having all these issues, he would be lined up to be in some actual trouble, right? But now, looking at this Senate hearing, they are probably about to open up an investigation into Fani Willis's financial dealings, because the reason that Fani Willis was able to decline motions to receive her bank statements and all that is because she's not actually in trouble. She's not on trial. So she doesn't have really anything to do with what's going on. I mean, she appointed Nathan Wade, but she's not the one in trouble or in question here. Nathan Wade is. That's why he turned over his stuff. She's not in trouble, so she doesn't have to give them anything, right? But now, if they charge her with a crime for whatever is going on, or let's say they start investigating her and say, you're under investigation, you need to turn over this stuff. You know, they subpoena it or whatever like that, and she can't block it because she's an elected official, and now it's time for you to open up them books. Now we're going to start running into some issues. So let's see here. So now, yes, she's in trouble now. Like it's no longer just a Fulton County thing. Now the state of Georgia is involved. The state of Georgia, people who look at, I guess, political impropriety, they're involved now, right? So let's go down my list. What are we looking at here? So they're pretty much asking Ashley Merchant, like, what do you see? Like, what patterns do you see? What habits? What were they doing? How do you know? Where did this information come from? When did it start? Who's the mole? Who's the snitch? You know, who's the whistleblower? Whatever, all that. And so she's just telling them, you know, pretty much Bradley was the mole, right? So this is one thing I found out. Bradley was the mole, but Bradley was originally anonymous. See, I didn't realize that. He was originally anonymous. He had given Ashley Merchant all that information, and when she filed the motion, she left out parts of it that were specific to that Nathan Wade knew he was the only one that knew, right? She left it out so that he wouldn't be able to be identified. And then as Fani Willis and her office are filing what they call motions to quash, which means they want to like throw this evidence out or throw out these subpoenas and all this type of stuff. When they were filing those, I guess they said I didn't watch the motions to quash hearings. I'm assuming they said like, we need to be able to face our accusers. So whoever gave you this information, we need to be able to face them, and they need to testify. So whatever the situation happened is that, because I didn't see it, the judge said that Ashley Merchant, you have to tell them who gave you this information. And that's when Bradley's got exposed as the mole, pretty much. And Ashley Merchant said pretty much from that point forward, she said before he got exposed, they were talking all the time. He was giving up all the information all the time. But after the exposure, cut her off. He didn't talk to her again. He didn't give her any more information after that. So pretty much now I got to jump around because what I just said is related to this other part that happened later in the hearing. So and a couple hours into this whole hearing thing, this Senate hearing, they asked. So Ashley Merchant started to talk to the Senate about how Terence Bradley started to get phone calls from Nathan Wade's side. And it wasn't from Nathan Wade directly, but it was from that side of things. Calling him, pretty much questioning him like, hey, are you the mole? Did you give all this information up? Like, are you the one that snitched on us and all that? And Nathan and Terence Bradley was feeling like they're trying to intimidate me. Pretty much, they calling the guard dogs on me. They trying to intimidate me. Now, the person who called and did all that, his name is Gabe Banks, right? I think I mentioned him in a previous video. Gabe Banks is a very close friend of Nathan Wade. Also, Gabe Banks' wife works for Fani Willis, right? So you can see how they pressured Gabe Banks or told Gabe Banks, hey, call him up, because we can't call him because that's witness tampering. We can't call him, so you got to call him. Whole time, it's still witness tampering if you send somebody else to do it, right? So then after that, I guess Bradley is irritated, he's annoyed or whatever. He calls up Ashley Merchant and say, hey, can you believe they just had Gabe call me and tell me pretty much whatever. So I guess they were upset together as they sat on the phone and talked about everything. Then the next day after that, they say that, let me see what they say. They said the next day after that, Nathan Wade himself called Terence Bradley's best friend and told, now this is allegedly, I don't know. This is what Ashley Merchant said. Nathan Wade called Terence Bradley's best friend and said, yo, make sure you remind him he better not say nothing because attorney-client privilege. He can't say anything about me. He can't say anything I ever told him. He can't, attorney-client privilege, it's a wrap. He better not talk. And remember, we talked about that attorney-client privilege thing. So now we know where that threat came from. It came from Nathan Wade and him telling him, yo, attorney-client privilege, you better not say nothing up in there. Whole time, the judge went and found out, like, y'all don't have attorney-client privilege here. So he made him talk. And it got ugly for him. So so I know some people might be thinking, like, why was Bradley just telling all of Nathan Wade's business like that? Originally, I thought it was because they had fallen out from the business thing. Excuse me. And Terence Bradley was like mad at Wade for kicking him out the business for the whole sexual assault stuff, right? But according to Ashley Merchant, Terence Bradley was actually mad at Nathan Wade because of how Nathan Wade was treating his wife, cheating on her with Fani Willis, spending their money on Fani Willis and vacations, hiding money from her. I guess Terence Bradley was like the moral police in that situation, and he pretty much didn't like it. So I guess he was standing up for Nathan Wade's wife somehow and said, hey, we're gonna take him down. And by taking him down, we're going to give all the information to Ashley Merchant, and hopefully that helps. Now, I'm going to say this, right? Terence Bradley, my boy, you got creep energy all on you, man. Like, a lot of this is not possible without any of that information that you gave that woman. You understand? And I'm not saying that people who do wrong shouldn't be exposed or whatever. I'm saying that's your friend. If them people is going to do some investigation, if those people are going to figure out something to take down one of your friends, even if y'all don't talk all the time anymore, or even if y'all don't talk at all anymore, if those people are going to investigate and take down somebody that you had a business with, somebody that you've been friends with for years, let them do it on their own. I'm not saying stand in the way. I'm not saying obstruction of justice, none of that type of stuff. I'm saying let them handle it on their own. Make them go find the information without you. You didn't have to tell Ashley Merchant anything about that relationship. And this is why I say you kind of creeped out, right? My boy, Mr. Bradley. First of all, you do that, right? So you betray your one of your close friends. And you knew you were wrong because you wanted it to remain hidden. It wasn't like you were trying to betray him publicly because, you felt like he really did you wrong. You were trying to hide yourself. You told Ashley Merchant to put your own financial stuff in that motion so it wouldn't look like you were being left out, because that would make it suspicious for you. So you were really deliberately trying to hide yourself. This wasn't you getting back at him. You were trying to do some snake stuff. I'm talking to Terence Bradley right now, attorney Terence Bradley. You were trying to do some snake stuff to somebody that was your friend, right? So you have an employee at your law firm when you had the law firm with Campbell, Wade, and Bradley that you allegedly sexually assaulted that young lady, right? That's creep move number one. You had a client. The client means this person is paying you for your services, legal services. Allegedly, again, you sexually assault your client. I'm assuming that you're not married. You have major problems with how Nathan Wade's wife is being treated. So you decide, I want to snake him for his wife. Creep move number 3. And then telling Ashley Merchant all his business makes me feel like you wanted her too. That's creep move number 4. You got 4 strikes, my boy. You're out of here. This is and now, of course, what I'm talking about right now is not legal jargon. I'm talking about how we view our fellow bros that do things like what Terence Bradley is accused of doing. Now, I know none of this, what we're talking about, is about Terence Bradley's character. However, he is the big. So what I've been saying, Ashley Merchant is the key to all this, is because she had Terence Bradley feeding her all this information. Without this information, none of the rest of this is possible.